Definitely, small adjustments in our daily routine can trigger a series of significant changes, completely transforming our lifestyle. I must confess, until recently, I was skeptical about this possibility. My life was marked by a constancy that bordered on monotony, where the weekends were always the same. I indulged in excessive alcohol consumption, reaching a state of deep inebriation. My cigarette consumption was alarming, reaching a pack a day. Moreover, my diet was extremely neglected, relying almost exclusively on ultra-processed products and canned foods. This unhealthy routine was the norm until I realized the need for change. These bad habits I had for sure were hindering my brain from functioning properly. Without the right things for the brain to work well, it becomes difficult to do everyday things. If we don't take proper care of our health, don't move and eat poorly, the brain also suffers. And then we lose the desire to do anything. We get into this cycle without energy and continue with the same bad habits, because it seems easier to continue the same way. It's a vicious cycle. We feel bad, change nothing, and continue feeling bad. Maybe you're going through this right now. You might be living this same situation I lived. In this video, I want to show you some things you can do right away. They're not easy, but they're quick and can help you break out of this cycle and lead you to a healthier and more active way of living. Before, I couldn't even imagine what a productive day would be like. But look where I've gotten. Last holiday, I studied about 6 to 8 hours a day. I learned a lot, was productive, ate well, trained a lot, and improved significantly, both in knowledge and in physical health. This is quite different from when I was in that bad routine. I was stuck in a crazy cycle where I only repeated things that harmed me. And the worst part, I thought it wasn't my fault and that people who led a healthy and productive life were the wrong ones. But the truth is, I was following some rules I had made up myself, rules I didn't even know I had, and this we will understand better in this video. I was sabotaging myself without even realizing it, following a path that only took me down. But now I want to show how to get out of this and change for the better. This transformative principle reveals a deep understanding of human behavior. When I came across the famous Pareto rule, I understood its applicability to our behavioral patterns. This rule maintains that approximately 80% of the results come from 20% of the causes. Thus, by adjusting these crucial 20%, it's likely to trigger a domino effect, optimizing at least 80% of your existence. Naturally, this percentage is not fixed and can vary among individuals, but this notion is reinforced by clinical experiences. Changes in just 20% of certain vital aspects can drive significant improvements in many other areas of life. However, modifying these 20% can be challenging. They often require an effort and complexity that justifies seeking professional help. In retrospect, I realized that some of my habits, such as a sedentary lifestyle, smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, and an inadequate diet, were responsible for 80% of the negative impacts in my life. Undoubtedly, altering these factors brings considerable progress in various aspects of health and well-being. A remarkable transformation in various aspects of life is definitely achievable, especially when modifying a central habit, triggering improvements in numerous other areas. However, this intervention is not an easy task, especially when we consider that many dysfunctional habits are rooted in complex neural circuits in the brain, making change a solitary challenge. Nevertheless, there are small strategic actions that can be incorporated into these crucial 20%. Imagine that you don't have the means to hire a nutritionist or a psychologist and are trapped in a cycle of harmful habits that hinder a positive change in your life. There are some simple measures, included in those essential 20% that can trigger a positive effect on your existence. These are free actions accessible to everyone. I'm going to share 2 fundamental practices to start altering these harmful habits, which represent 80% of the adverse consequences. By adopting them, you'll be tackling these 20% of the causes. I sincerely hope these suggestions are helpful, but before we dive into these details, it's crucial to understand some basic principles. To unravel the first of these fundamental neuroscientific principles, it's essential to know about Donald Hebb, a renowned Canadian psychologist in the history of neuroscience and psychology. In 1949, Hebb published a book that laid the foundations for our understanding of how neurons in the brain operate together. His iconic statement, "Neurons that fire together, wire together," is vital to understand the formation and maintenance of habits in our brain. Hebb discovered that when 2 neurons are activated at the same time, the connection between them strengthens. This concept is fundamental to understanding how dysfunctional habits are established, and more crucially, how they can be modified. In his book, The Organization of Behavior, Donald Hebb introduced the idea that neurons that fire together tend to connect more. Neurons that fire together tend to strengthen. This suggests that, in simple terms, we have several neural cells in the brain that, when forming synaptic connections, tend to reinforce and perpetuate these connections. Thus, if a connection in a specific neural circuit is associated with negative behavior or a harmful habit, the tendency is that this behavior persists if these synapses continue to form. To better illustrate this concept, let's use an analogy. Imagine you're at the gym doing weightlifting exercises, specifically working on your biceps. The more you exercise your biceps, the stronger they become. Similarly, in the brain, although there is no increase in muscle mass like in the biceps, there is a reinforcement of neural connections. This strengthening facilitates the repeated use of that neural circuit due to previous use. It's a process similar to weightlifting. If you've always trained just biceps, triceps, and chest, but never the legs, the upper part of your body will likely be more developed than the lower. In the brain, the dynamics are similar. If you've conditioned your brain to react to negative stimuli with harmful habits, this becomes an increasingly reinforced pattern. Therefore, it's crucial to understand that changing habits requires a conscious and continuous effort to establish new patterns of behavior. By understanding this brain dynamic, we can start to implement changes in the 20% of the habits we want to modify, thus achieving a significant improvement in 80% of the results in our lives. This leads us to seek effective strategies to replace negative habits with positive ones, a topic I will address in detail in the continuation of this video. If you, like I once was, are immersed in harmful habits such as smoking, alcohol consumption, excessive partying, sedentarism, and inadequate eating patterns, your brain becomes more efficient at maintaining these habits. This ends up making other aspects of your life dysfunctional. At this moment, you might be wondering, I've already formed muscles in my brain, that is, pre-established habits. How can I break these patterns and promote change? That's exactly what we're going to explore now in a clear and direct way. Although it's not necessarily simple, it's a path you can follow if you are minimally interested. To embark on this adventure of self-discovery and change, it's essential to start with a deep dive into the fascinating universe of the human brain. Imagine yourself as an explorer venturing into unknown territory. In this journey, we'll discover effective methods to undo old entrenched habits and replace them with healthier and more enriching practices. This transformation begins with understanding the synapses, those incredible connections in our brain, and how we can consciously reprogram these neural pathways to encourage more positive behaviors. This path may be arduous, but think of the invaluable rewards that await at the end. So, prepare yourself for this fascinating journey of self-transformation. To understand why certain behavior patterns seem so persistent, we need to familiarize ourselves with a crucial idea: rule-based behaviors. These rules, which we often establish unconsciously, govern many of our actions, whether they are constructive or not. For example, when entering a restaurant, we intuitively avoid sitting at a table with a reserved sign. Similarly, we stop at a red light while driving. These actions are shaped by visual cues and social norms, illustrating how behaviors can be influenced by external stimuli. Now think about how this understanding can be applied to alter less visible but equally ingrained habits. By identifying the unwritten rules we follow in our everyday lives, we begin to see the bigger picture. It's at this point that real transformation begins. By adjusting these internal norms, we can start to shape a brighter and more promising future for ourselves. It's an exciting journey, full of discoveries and insights. Each step we take brings us closer to a more aware and balanced self. So, let's together unravel these mysteries, better understand our own minds, and rewrite the rules that govern our lives. It's a path that promises not only knowledge, but also a truly impactful transformation. If you're enjoying this, don't miss out on the opportunity. Purchase the ebook now, Stoicism in the 21st Century, Ancient Strategies for Modern Challenges, and unlock your prosperity, abundance, and improve your relationships with this ebook. Link in the pinned comment. You might not have realized it, but our behavior is often shaped by rules, many of which are self-imposed without any external basis. A classic example is the person who, upon breaking their diet by eating a piece of chocolate, creates a mental rule that it's no longer worth maintaining the diet for that day. It's not logical to abandon all other healthy meals because of one single slip-up. Similarly, if someone breaks their diet on a Wednesday and decides to resume it only on the following Monday, this also lacks logic. Monday is a day like any other, with 24 hours, just like Wednesday. Yet we create an arbitrary rule that defines it as a special time to start over. These examples show how we often arbitrarily establish rules that end up directing our behaviors, both positive and negative. The real challenge lies in identifying these self-imposed rules, often unconsciously, and beginning to question them. By doing so, we pave the way to deconstruct dysfunctional behaviors and replace them with healthier and more productive habits. This leads us to the discovery of how we can change these self-established rules, initiating a journey of personal transformation and improving the quality of life. These rules that we create in our minds form an internal logic that begins to regulate our daily lives. A personal example I used to follow was the belief that I would miss out on something important if I didn't go out every weekend, or the idea that I would be missing out on relevant information if I wasn't constantly checking social media. However, in reality, we're not missing out on anything truly significant. If you're unaware of the latest reality show updates or which celebrity is pregnant, it won't concretely alter your life. Yet these rules, often driven by the social context in which we live, form in our minds, leading to the development of extremely harmful habits. The first milestone in the journey of transformation is the awareness of the norms that guide our lives. Begin this journey with an attitude of curiosity and openness, delving into the analysis of these hidden rules. Understanding them is the foundation for unraveling what's really happening on the stage of your existence, opening doors to significant changes. The next step involves creating strategies that enable us to redirect our routines in light of these norms. This idea may seem simple at first glance, but those who have experienced it understand the depth of this statement. Remember the golden rule. Influencing 20% of our actions can transform up to 80% of the results, and within this select 20%, there are complex aspects that often require the assistance of experts. However, there is a powerful approach to initiate this change. This technique is based on introspection and self-awareness. I encourage you to start questioning the rules you've set for yourself and reflect on the reasons for adhering to them. Ask yourself if they truly add value to your life or merely confine you to harmful practices. By initiating this reflection, you create room to replace these norms with healthier and more constructive ones. This process is a crucial step in your journey of personal development and improving the quality of life, and can be the starting point for a remarkable turnaround in your daily habits. The second vital step in our journey of self-development involves a surprisingly simple yet powerful tool: the use of a planner. Many underestimate its value, but a well-used planner can be a revolutionary instrument in modifying our daily behaviors. If we are already accustomed to establishing rules to guide our actions, some of which prove dysfunctional or harmful, why not adopt an external resource to positively influence our habits? The idea of hacking the brain finds an ally in the planner. It acts as an auxiliary mechanism, external to the brain, for behavior modulation. Additionally, it's practical, easy to use, and even free if you choose options like paper planners or digital apps like Google Calendar. However, it's crucial to value and honor what is recorded in the planner. If you've tried adopting this method without success, feeling frustrated for not completing planned tasks, a valuable tip is to establish a minimum criterion of accomplishment to consider the day productive. For example, in my own experience, if I list 10 tasks and complete 7, I consider the day successful. It's also vital to prioritize the most important tasks, perhaps highlighting them in different colors to emphasize their urgency. This approach helps maintain focus on what is crucial, favoring organization and efficiency in time management and activity. Incorporating a planner into your daily routine means establishing a new norm, a positive and effective norm that helps shape your behavior for the better. Respecting and following your planner fosters the creation of new synapses and neural circuits, essential for productivity and efficiency. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, leading to a more organized and productive life, indispensable elements for any process of personal transformation and quality of life improvement. Now let's talk about a practical and effective method to improve our days: the use of a planner. This idea might seem simple, but it holds immense power. When we write down our tasks and commitments in a planner, we're actually creating a map for our day. It's like giving a definite direction to a boat in the open sea, but the secret isn't just in writing down tasks. The most important thing is to take what's in the planner seriously. You know that annoying feeling of leaving something undone? Well, it needs to be stronger than the laziness or the demotivation to perform the task. For example, if you plan to exercise, write a report, or read a bit of a book, you have to feel that not doing it will weigh more on your conscience than the effort it takes to do it. Here comes a very wise teaching from the Stoics, an ancient philosophy that speaks about the control of our actions and emotions. The Stoics believed that we should focus on what is within our reach and accept what we cannot change. By using a planner, we are putting this idea into practice. We are deciding what we will do and committing to it. The Stoics also taught the importance of being disciplined and consistent. So if you commit to what you've written in your planner, you're practicing this discipline. You're learning to be faithful to your plans, which is a big step towards improving your life. Remember, changing habits and improving isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process, a path that we choose to follow every day. And the planner is a tool that helps us on this path, keeping us on the right track. Just as the teachings of the Stoics remind us to focus on what we can control and to be consistent in our actions. Self-discipline is undoubtedly a pillar in building a more organized and productive life. However, it's equally important to balance this discipline with a certain degree of flexibility. Here comes the idea of the 70% limit. On certain days, when you accomplish 70% of your planned tasks, you can allow yourself to leave the remaining 30% for another time. This creates a psychological comfort zone, a kind of safety zone, which allows for breathing space without the feeling of failure or overload. However, it's crucial to develop a sense of discomfort when not fully accomplishing what was set out in the planner. This feeling is what makes the planner such a powerful tool for behavioral change. It acts as a constant reminder of our commitments and goals, pushing us into action, even in moments of laziness or demotivation. This balance between discipline and flexibility is what allows us to maintain a sustainable rhythm of work and personal growth. Self-discipline doesn't mean absolute rigidity. It's more about knowing your limits and working within them. At the same time, flexibility isn't synonymous with laxity, but rather understanding that perfection is unattainable and that it's okay to adapt to circumstances. The key is to find a middle ground that works for you, allowing you to progress without feeling overwhelmed or frustrated. This is a crucial aspect to maintain continuous motivation and progress in any journey of self-improvement. With the constant practice of this methodology, we begin to see real and positive changes in our daily behaviors. According to the theory of neuroscientist Donald Hebb, our neural circuits begin to strengthen in a beneficial way. Imagine the brain as a gym and the neurons as muscles that need exercise. By adopting practices such as efficient use of a planner, you begin to weaken the neural connections that lead to non-productive behaviors and strengthen those that are healthier and more adaptive. This process is like brain training. Just as muscles become stronger and more defined with regular exercise, the synaptic muscles of our brain also develop and become more effective with constant practice. By changing our daily actions, we are actually reshaping the functioning of our brain. This process has a profound impact, not only on our habits, but also on our emotional well-being and self-esteem. Over time, this continuous practice leads to a significant improvement in the quality of life. It's important to remember that this is a path that requires dedication and continuous effort. It's not a transformation that happens overnight, but rather a gradual process of growth and strengthening. However, the benefits of this practice are clear and lasting. Thus, by committing to this journey of self-development, you are investing in yourself in a way that will bring valuable rewards in terms of mental, emotional health, and quality of life in the long term. It's essential to recognize that the desired transformation through the use of a planner does not occur immediately. The analogy with weight training is perfect here. At first, you start by lifting lighter weights, and over time, your strength increases, allowing you to lift heavier weights and intensify your workout. Similarly, the adaptation to the consistent use of a planner is a gradual process. The most important thing is to take that first step. Just as muscles start to strengthen and grow with regular workouts, the use of a planner begins to strengthen the areas of your brain responsible for organization, planning, and discipline. This first step is what initiates the change, paving the way for continuous evolution towards a more structured and efficient lifestyle. Remember, every great journey begins with a simple step. Just as an athlete doesn't become a champion overnight, the transformation of habits and the improvement of self-discipline are achieved through small but consistent daily advances. With patience, persistence, and commitment, you will gradually shape your behavior and mindset to align with your goals and visions of a more productive and satisfying life. It's essential to remember that change is a continuous process and that discipline is key to establishing healthy and productive habits that can indeed transform your life for the better. Persistence and patience are fundamental on this path. Small, consistent steps lead to significant transformations over time. Stay firm in your purpose, and as the days go by, you will begin to see the positive changes manifesting in your routine and quality of life. If you like this, subscribe, and may everyone be with the Creator.